If you're watching this movie to have a fun time, it's gonna be an absolute blast. To be honest, that's what most of us watch the new Monsterverse movies for anyways. I wanna see big monkey punch things, and big lizard— wait, hold on, is that a fucking suplex? Yeah, we're starting to see some of those crazy Godzilla moves that he pulled off in those old movies. But anyways, despite the fact that there are some big flaws in this movie, one thing I really like is that Kong is the main character and not the humans. The reason why I like it is simply because it gives a different perspective for, well, a lot of things. In fact, I'm pretty sure most people would agree the best scenes in this movie are the ones with no humans. More specifically, there's an entire segment in the film where it's all just monkeys. It's nothing but the occasional monkey noise. Yet, throughout the entire scene, there was not a single moment where you don't understand what's happening. Everyone's intentions, their emotions, and the story behind all of them, it's super clear. I really would like for them to do more of this in the future Monsterverse films, because following non-human characters in a world with humans is something we don't see that much of at the moment, outside of course, Planet of the Apes. Don't get me wrong, I've absolutely enjoyed both the human and Titan perspectives throughout all the Monsterverse movies that have come out so far, because both have their own outstanding qualities when it comes to a cinematic experience, with the previous films focusing more on the human point of view and Godzilla x Kong focusing more on the Titans. But before I get into what makes each perspective so awesome when compared to the other, I do have to first point out some major flaws in the story, since this is a review. There are certain parts in the film where super important events for the plot kinda happen out of nowhere. I'll use Kong's Infinity Gauntlet as an example. At one point in the story, Kong's right arm gets injured due to hypothermia. Mr. Dentist here, who pulled out one of Kong's rotten teeth earlier in the movie, then has some NPC-ass dialogue where he goes like, "Huh. Uh-huh. Oh no, what do we do? Ha-ha." And then they drop the robot arm that just so happens to be for Kong's right hand that also happens to be able to inject him with a serum that cures hypothermia, despite us never hearing or seeing anything related to any of this at any point ever. Like, this is honestly hilarious. It's as if the scriptwriters halfway through writing the story were like, "Oh shit guys, we forgot to include how Kong got that robot arm we made him use in the trailer," and someone's like, just throw it in there, literally. And then they threw it on Kong, literally. Personally, it doesn't affect how fun the movie is for me, but man, this is some pretty next level plot convenience. Not to mention some characters all of a sudden have like psychic abilities and telepathic communication and whatnot, kinda gets shoved in your face when you first watch this film. And especially for new viewers of this series, it's most definitely gonna be pretty overwhelming and confusing.
Looks alright to me.
Anyways, back to the differences between perspectives. The first thing is scale. The perceived scale of these titans varies greatly when the film switches between perspectives, and personally this is something I really enjoy from the human perspective. But unfortunately, Godzilla x Kong doesn't do the human point of view as well as some of the previous movies, where certain shots and scenes felt extremely immersive and really allowed the audience to experience the titans' full scale and power. Not to mention, there are also scenes like this, relying more on characters and emotions than action to keep us entertained, giving us what feels like a deeper connection to the world of Godzilla. There are times where you feel extremely immersed in the story and action, like for example in 2014's Godzilla, as the world slowly comes to the realization that humans are not even close to being at the top of the food chain. The way these films make titans feel like actual gods, their power at scales incomprehensible to us, wiping out towns and cities just from them moving or flying around, and shots like this really nail the absolute dominance these beings have on our world. This is something you can only properly get through the human perspective, seeing the world of giants from the eyes of an ant, desperately trying to save itself before ultimately realizing its actions inconsequential, scrambling to fight an unbeatable threat before accepting the fact that the only thing you can do is to move out of the way and let the gods battle it out. On the other hand, we now get to see the very same world through the eyes of a titan, and whether some of these details are intentional or not, they do help complement this alternative perspective. Size is of course the most noticeable difference. When following the perspective of a titan, our sense of scale shifts and allows us to see the world as they do. Kong looks like a big monkey instead of a city-destroying Goliath. I believe this is intentional. You'll often find yourself forgetting that these beings are titans. You forget that each one of them could easily flatten a city, and by allowing these thoughts to be put aside, we free up our ability to focus on the events currently unfolding on screen. The story being told, the conflicts between characters of a unique civilization, the consequences of the decisions that they make. It's only when the film brings us back to the human world that we once again see the titans for their true size and scale. The camera tends to shift to a lower angle, having us once again see the world through the eyes of a human. Titans we felt looked small while following the perspective of Kong now look massive. More particles like dust, sand, or water are used as an emphasis for their size and speed, as we all know how these substances typically interact with their environment, allowing us to more easily gauge the Titan's true scale. And of course, objects most people already know the size of are shown to help us understand what's happening, like buildings in a city or the pyramids in Egypt. You'll also notice that we see less of the consequence of the damage caused by our titans fighting. We don't see how many humans get hurt, despite a fight like this in a populated city most certainly killing tens of thousands. We don't see people scrambling to get off the street before getting crushed by debris, despite that most certainly happening every time they destroy a building. If you're in a brutal fight with someone on the street, you're not gonna pay attention to how many ants you may have accidentally stepped on as you're taking punches. The same way a titan is not going to care about how many people it accidentally crushes while it's trying not to get vaporized. Again, I'm unsure of whether this detail is intentional or not, but for the sake of enjoying the movie more, I'm gonna go ahead and keep the assumption that it is. Plus, who wants to think about how many fictional people are getting hurt anyways while I'm trying to watch a giant monkey with a robot glove punch another giant monkey with a magical bone whip? Anyways, I'm hoping that in the future Monsterverse films we get to see both perspectives just like this, focusing on the titans and what's happening in their world, as well as coming back to the human perspective to be reminded of the true scale and power of the current events. Both have their own benefits, and only having one or the other makes the film less fun and immersive. Although next time, I'm really hoping they don't pull the human plotline out of their ass and start doing goofy bullshit. There really is a great deal of potential here to make these films top-of-the-line cinematic joyrides. Plus, I also want them to keep making money off these movies so I can eventually see Godzilla do this. Yep, can't wait. Seriously though, we already got to see Godzilla do a suplex, so I'm interested to see what this kind of stuff looks like with modern CGI and VFX. Anyways, thanks for watching to the end. It really helps these videos out a lot, and I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day.